Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something pretty interesting, a really fast-growing bit of the tech world, the global market for mobile application testing solutions. We've got this detailed new report fresh off the press, and it's packed with stuff.
It really is. And it makes sense when you think about it, right? Mobile apps are just everywhere now. Banking, connecting, everything.
Totally.
So making sure these apps actually work smoothly, it's not just a headache for developers. It's super important for all of us using them every day. And that's where this whole testing market fits in.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the really key insights from this big report. We want to give you a clear, kind of engaging snapshot of where mobile app testing is now and where it's heading.
Without drowning you in data tables.
Exactly. A shortcut to understanding what really matters in this space.
And just so you know the scope, this report covers, well, basically everything. Market size, growth forecasts, which regions are hot, what's driving it all,
Right.
the key drivers, and restraints too.
Okay, let's dive in then. The report kicks off with the overall market size, and these numbers are, well, they're pretty big. For 2025, the global market for mobile app testing solutions is pegged at USD 9,472.5 million. What does that tell us straight away?
Well, first off, it shows there's already a lot of money being poured into making sure mobile apps work right. But maybe the more eye-opening part is the growth projection.
Yeah.
The report sees this market rocketing to USD 36,091.5 million by 2033.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of jump really points to a growing, almost fundamental need for this stuff.
Absolutely. And doing the math, that growth comes out to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 18.20% between 2025 and 2033.
Which is huge.
Right. For anyone watching markets, an 18% annual growth, that screams, dynamic sector. It's not just ticking up, it's properly accelerating.
Precisely. And while that global number is impressive on its own, the report then digs into where this growth is happening geographically. And that's where, you see some really interesting global tech shifts playing out.
Okay, let's start with the biggest slice right now. Asia Pacific, APAC. In 2025, the report says APAC has the largest share, like around 37% of all the revenue.
Yeah, that's about USD 3.5 billion, roughly.
So 300 and 504.83 million, to be exact. What's behind APAC being the leader right now?
A huge factor is just the sheer number of people using mobile internet there. You've got massive mobile-first populations in places like India and China.
Right.
That drives incredible demand for all kinds of apps. Add in the rapid digital transformation pushes happening across industries there, and, well, you've got a perfect storm for mobile app development.
And therefore testing.
And therefore a massive need for solid testing solutions. It's really becoming a mobile-first economy in large parts of APAC.
And the growth forecast for APAC is even more dramatic, isn't it?
It is. The report predicts the fastest CAGR in APAC. We're talking 20.3% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, over 20%.
Yeah. It suggests that APAC's lead isn't just temporary. It's likely to get even bigger over the next decade, which, has big implications if you're a business looking at those markets.
Yeah, definitely. So a picture of strong global growth, but really led by APAC. Okay, let's shift gears to North America. They've got a big chunk, too, over 29% of the revenue in 2025.
Yep, that's about USD 2.75 billion, or 2747.03 million specifically.
What's driving things there?
Well, North America has that long history of tech innovation, right? Plus really high smartphone usage. The report points to things like advanced mobile commerce and a quicker uptake of, say, cloud-based and AI-driven testing.
More cutting-edge stuff.
Sort of, yeah. Plus, you've got the ongoing 5G rollout and the whole Internet of Things explosion adding to the complexity and the need for more sophisticated testing.
And their growth rate, still strong, but a bit lower than APAC.
That's right. A CAGR of 16.5% projected for 2025 to 2033. Still very healthy growth.
What does that slightly lower rate maybe suggest, compared to APAC's 20%?
It probably points to a more mature market overall. Growth is still strong, definitely. But maybe APAC is catching up or expanding its digital base faster from a slightly different starting point. North America is already very digitized, so the growth might be more about, deepening and refining things.
Okay, that makes sense. What about Europe?
Europe's significant too. Over 24% of the global revenue in 2025, which is about USD 2.27 billion. And their projected CAGR is actually slightly higher than North America's at 16.9%.
Interesting. Similar drivers there. Strong tech base, mobile adoption.
Generally, yes. A solid technological foundation and widespread use of mobile tech.
And the other regions the report covers.
Yeah, quickly. South America has just under 4% share, about 360 million USD in 2025, but a strong CAGR forecast at 18.6%.
So lots of potential there.
Seems like it. The Middle East is around 4%, about 379 million USD, with an even higher CGR at 18.7%.
Okay.
And Africa, while starting from a smaller base around 2.2% share, or 208 million USD, still shows decent growth potential with a 14.0% CAGR. Definitely room to expand as mobile access grows there.
So it's really a global story, but with APAC out front and strong growth pretty much everywhere.
Okay, let's dig into what's actually fueling all this expansion.
Mm.
The report points to some key market drivers, right?
Absolutely. One of the big ones is the shift towards DevOps and Agile in software development.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. How do things like DevOps and Agile boost the need for testing?
Well, these methods are all about speed. Faster development cycles, more frequent updates, this whole continuous integration, continuous deployment thing, CI/CD.
Right, pushing out code faster.
Exactly. And if you're releasing stuff constantly, you can't just wait until the end to test. Testing has to be baked in, automated, continuous. It needs to keep pace.
Ah, so the faster development forces faster, more integrated testing.
Pretty much. You need to catch bugs early and often, not hold up the whole release train. So that drives huge demand for automated testing tools and platforms.
Makes perfect sense. Speed needs speed. What's another big factor pushing this market?
The report really hammers home the demand for, well, a top-notch user experience.
Can't argue with that. No. In today's app stores, users have like zero tolerance for apps that are buggy, slow, or just confusing.
We've all been there, deleting an app after 5 frustrating minutes.
Exactly. Negative reviews, terrible ratings. It kills an app's chances. So thorough testing isn't just nice to have. It's essential for making sure apps are stable, fast, easy to use. It's basically brand protection in your pocket.
That's a great way to put it. And I guess cloud-based testing solutions fit into this growth picture too.
Oh, definitely. Cloud testing platforms offer a ton of advantages. Scalability is a big one. You can ramp testing up or down as needed.
More flexibility.
Right. And cost effectiveness. You don't need to buy and maintain huge labs full of physical devices anymore.
Which must be a nightmare to manage.
It can be. Cloud platforms give you access to a massive range of virtual and often real devices, different OS versions. It makes comprehensive testing much easier. And, like we said with DevOps, they often plug right into those CI/CD workflows.
Okay, so lots of tailwinds pushing this market forward. Did the report mention anything holding it back? Any challenges?
Yes, it does flag one key restraint, the
Mm-hmm.
cost. These advanced testing tools and comprehensive solutions, they aren't always cheap.
Ah,
And that can be a real hurdle, especially for smaller companies, SMEs, startups. They might understand the need for quality, but affording the top-tier testing tech, that can be tough.
that's a crucial point. The need is there, but the investment can be significant, particularly if you're on a tight budget. Okay, let's shift to looking ahead. What key trends does the report highlight for the future of mobile app testing?
One area getting a lot of attention is mobile gaming. The demand for testing there is apparently surging.
Gaming makes sense, actually. Mobile games are incredibly complex now.
Exactly. Think high-end graphics, real-time multiplayer, complex in-app purchases.
Yeah.
All that stuff needs rigorous testing.
Across tons of different phones and tablets.
Right. Performance, stability, making sure the experience is smooth everywhere. The report even mentions Saudi Arabia's big investment in gaming, buying Scopely.
Yeah, I saw that. Huge deal.
It just underlines how massive the mobile gaming sector is and why ensuring quality through testing is so critical there.
Okay, so gaming is one big trend. What else?
Fintech and mobile payments, that's another huge one. These apps handle sensitive financial data.
Super sensitive.
So security testing becomes absolutely paramount. You need rock-solid testing to protect user data, prevent fraud, build trust, and of course, meet all the regulations.
Non-negotiable, really, when money is involved. What's the third major trend?
It's the growth of edge computing and the Internet of Things, or IoT.
Ah, things getting more connected and complex.
Precisely. Mobile apps increasingly need to talk to all sorts of IoT devices, maybe process data closer to the source via edge computing, all in real time.
So testing needs to cover those interactions.
Yes, ensuring the communication is seamless, data syncs correctly, performance holds up across these distributed systems. It adds new layers of testing complexity. The report uses McDonald's using Google Cloud for edge computing as a real-world example.
Right, showing it's not just theory. Big companies are doing this. Now, the report also factors in the impact of those U.S. tariffs introduced in 2025, the Liberation Day tariffs, as they've been called. How are they shaking things up in the mobile app and testing world?
Well, those tariffs definitely send ripples through the whole electronics sector. And that obviously includes the bits and pieces that go into smartphones, tablets, servers, the hardware behind app development and testing.
The aim is trade balance, but the effect is disruption.
That's often the case, yeah. New costs, supply chain headaches. The report mentions tariffs ranging from 10% on some allies up to higher rates on places like Vietnam and China.
What specific components relevant to this industry got hit?
Some key ones. Semiconductors, crucial for everything, got a 25% tariff. Lithium-ion batteries powering the devices, 20%. And then various consumer electronics, laptops, tablets used for dev and testing facing 10–15%.
Ouch! Those are substantial hits. What are the immediate effects the report points out?
Well, disrupted supply chains, obviously. Increased costs for components. And those costs often get passed on, meaning potentially higher prices for devices, which could maybe slow down demand a bit.
Affecting lots of related tech areas.
Yeah, the report mentions impacts on home automation, computer hardware, communications gear, even medical devices and industrial electronics that rely on these components.
So how are businesses reacting? What are they doing?
They're adapting. The report says companies are rethinking suppliers, maybe looking more towards countries like India or Mexico to source components.
Diversifying away from the tariffs.
Exactly. Or even redesigning products to use fewer of the heavily tariffed parts. It really underscores how vital good market intelligence is right now. You need it to navigate these kinds of shifts.
It sounds like a really fluid situation, demanding a lot of strategic adjustment. Okay, let's talk about the players. Who are the main companies competing in this mobile application testing space?
It's described as highly competitive, which isn't surprising. You've got a mix, big global IT players and more specialized testing firms.
Any names mentioned?
Yeah, the report lists quite a few, like Qmentor, Mindful QA, Galaxy WebLinks, Testing Experts, Impact QA, Global App Testing, Coprasoft, Cintel, Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, a real range.
So a mix of pure play testers and the big consulting giants who have large testing practices.
Exactly. And the report also touches on some interesting developments, like regulatory pushes and partnerships.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, it mentions India's telecom regulator, TRAI, recommending live testing for new tech like 5G and AI back in April 2024. That kind of thing encourages more real-world app evaluation.
Pushing the boundaries of testing.
Right. And it also notes a partnership between Signity Technologies and Broadcom from June 2023, hosting a webinar on DevOps and continuous delivery.
Highlighting that integration theme again.
Precisely. Just shows how the industry is focused on embedding testing tightly within modern development workflows.
Good examples of the ecosystem evolving. Okay, finally, the report breaks the market down by different segments. Can we hit some highlights there? Starting with the type of testing service.
Sure. So the report suggests automated testing will likely grab the biggest market share overall. Makes sense with the push for speed in CI/CD.
Right.
But interestingly, manual testing is flagged as the fastest growing segment.
Really? That seems counterintuitive.
Hmm.
Why is manual testing growing so fast when automation is key?
Because there are things automation just can't easily replicate, especially around user experience. Manual testing is still crucial for checking usability, visual appeal, how an app feels to use across all those different devices and screen sizes.
Ah, the human touch. Making sure it looks right, feels intuitive.
Exactly. Checking for weird UI scaling issues, visual glitches, things a human tester spots immediately but a script might miss. You still need real eyes on it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What about segmentation by operating system?
The report says Windows currently has the largest share, but mostly as the environment for testing. Developers often use Windows machines with emulators or virtual setups to test their Android and iOS apps.
Right, testing apps for other platforms on Windows.
Correct. However, the actual iOS testing segment is expanding rapidly. Lots of focus there on performance testing, load times, memory use, battery drain across different Apple devices. The report even mentions a Windows 11 update, 22H2, possibly impacting these testing environments.
Given Apple's ecosystem, that iOS growth isn't a shock. What about by device type? Phones versus tablets?
Currently, tablets apparently represent the largest slice of the market for testing. The thinking is that ensuring apps scale well and look good on those larger, varied tablet screens is a major focus.
Making sure the UI isn't stretched or weird.
Exactly. But smartphones are expected to be the fastest growing segment for testing. Focus there is on core functions, performance, security big time, and just compatibility across the massive range of phones and OS versions out there. They even mentioned the 7th-gen iPad Air launch in March 2025 as an example of ongoing device evolution driving testing needs.
Always chasing the new hardware. And lastly, enterprise size. Big companies versus smaller ones.
Large enterprises hold the biggest share right now. No surprise there, they often have tons of apps, internal and external, running on all sorts of devices.
Makes sense.
But the fastest growing segment, that's the small and medium enterprises, the SMEs.
Ah, so they're catching up.
Seems like it. Probably fueled by those more accessible cloud-based testing solutions we talked about. It lets SMEs ensure app quality even if they don't have huge internal testing teams or budgets.
Levels the playing field a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into the mobile app testing market based on this new report really paints a picture of, well, major growth.
Definitely. Huge growth,
Yeah.
driven by how central apps are now, the absolute need for quality user experiences, and new ways of developing and testing software.
And we saw APAC leading currently, but North America potentially growing fastest, alongside strong growth pretty much everywhere else.
Right. And challenges like cost are real, but you've also got exciting trends pushing things forward: gaming, fintech, IoT, plus those global trade shifts like the tariffs, adding another layer of complexity businesses need to manage.
It's clear mobile app testing isn't just some niche tech thing anymore. It's absolutely core to digital success. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. As mobile tech keeps racing ahead, and we rely on apps for, well, almost everything, how are things like AI and machine learning going to change mobile app testing even more in the next few years?
That's the big question.
And what new challenges pop up when we try to guarantee these incredibly complex digital tools are reliable and secure? Something to think about.
Absolutely. How do you test systems that learn and adapt on their own? Fascinating stuff ahead.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the mobile application testing landscape. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.